and our Wingin' It Wednesday panelist is in. You know, do you guys consider June? See, June and July for me, I guess it's still like thinking like school summer is like, we're summer.
Yeah.
It's summertime.
Oh, yeah.
It's hurricane season.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll tell you what I didn't miss in the 8 years of living away was like the water, making sure you have batteries and flashlights.
Yeah.
I mean, we had ice storms and we had tornadoes occasionally, but the hurricane situation will shut you down for a while if you come. So
you don't even need hurricanes. Look what's going on in Houston.
Oh, my gosh, I know.
Goodness, those poor people.
I've always thought, driving through, I've always had family living in San Antonio, so we make that drive often. When you drive through the Houston area, it's just not, and I hate all those people who say, you grew up in Louisiana, you should be able to drive in the rain. Okay, everyone's got to be cautious. In Houston, though, their roads aren't like ours where the water will drain off. They all have the the concrete barriers on the sides, so it just becomes a jacuzzi. You're driving down I-10, and all of a sudden you're in 5 inches of water. It's crazy. So our thoughts are with them over there.
Yeah.
All right, so it's Wingin' It Wednesday, and our panelists, Carol Ross, Warren Cottle, here this morning to kick off your month. A few hot topics going around as we talked about yesterday. Questions for you guys. What do you think about the death penalty? For it, against it? This is after the High Court rejects Louisiana inmates' death penalty challenge. The Supreme Court is rejecting, this is from the AP yesterday, the Supreme Court rejecting a Louisiana inmate's appeal to consider a nationwide ban on the death penalty. The justices on Tuesday turned away a challenge from death row inmate LaMadre Tucker. Tucker's appeal was the latest challenge to capital punishment as unconstitutional after Justice Stephen Breyer issued a dissent last year calling for reevaluation of the death penalty. We'll go ahead and start on this one with you, Carol.
Well, reevaluation of the death penalty, nothing wrong with that. It's always good to reevaluate these things. And I am in favor of the death penalty with qualifications. I think you need to. You've seen in recent years with the ability of science to confirm or deny, and you've seen so many death row. In fact, over 100 and some, I think, just in the last few years, have been vacated because of the science that came in and proved. As we know, eyewitness accounts can be very, very unreliable, to say the least. So as in very serious capital cases where it is irrefutable, yes, these heinous crimes that we see, yes, the death penalty is warranted. The problem is it takes forever. The cost of the appeals are very costly. They said prone to mistakes and time consuming, yes, and very costly. Some research that I read said it costs more to go through this death penalty process than it is to just give people life in prison without, pardon or parole. So, and his was really awful. I mean, he killed her after she told him that she believed the baby was his. I mean, how cold do you have to be to do something like that? Anyway, the odds of a death sentence in Louisiana are 97%, and here's what gives everybody pause. The odds of the death sentence in Louisiana are 97% higher for those whose victim were white than those whose victims were black. And that's been done by the Louisiana Law Review. That was a 2011 study by the Louisiana Law Review. And in 96% of the states, let's take in all the states where there have been reviews of race and the death penalty, there was a pattern of either race of the victim or race of the defendant discrimination, one way or the other, depending on the race. So these things have to be, I think you have to review these things over time with the experience that you have and with the science that we have. But generally speaking, yeah, I think the death penalty is warranted in certain cases.
All right, Warren.
I guess I'm kind of like everybody else on this thing, is that you sway a little bit this way and a little bit back the other way. Sometimes you're 4,000% in favor of it, and sometimes that you're not quite so sure. And I think that what has happened to me over the last few years is, yes, I favor it, and I'm also not nearly the proponent that I once was when I was much younger. However, there are some situations when people out there have demonstrated that they should be removed from society permanently. Now, I know that Thurgood Marshall said one time that he was always opposed to it. He said, because if you make a mistake, then that was final. There's no going back and undoing that mistake. Here's what I really think that you need to do. First of all, we need to have some kind of reforms, and that is that I still don't understand how it is that they can deny an inmate the right to have DNA testing and get the results and all of that stuff, where a judge can just simply sit there and say, no, we've heard enough on this case, and, that's not going to be admitted. I just don't understand that. I think that if a person is charged with that type of thing or have been convicted and they're going through the appellate process, that they should be allowed to introduce anything and everything that might help their cause. With that being said, I do think that it's kind of crazy that you only have something like about a 1 in 1,000 chance or whatever of actually being put to death in capital cases in states where it is where they do have capital punishment. And I think it's mind-boggling that to sit there and go through this long, drawn-out process. As Carol said, you spend a couple of $1 million or whatever. Yeah. And I can tell you this, that I was very familiar with the case in Tennessee, which was the first one that actually got carried out in over 40 years. The family I knew and that I had actually seen the perpetrator, the guy who killed this little girl, he picked her up on the side of the street one day, asked where her grandfather lived, took her out, sodomized her, cut her throat, and turned around, and he went on and on and on. He actually escaped one time. They had him at a hospital. And anyway, that finally, when he was put to death, and that it was a grand day for me to see that, and that there's some of these people who just, by God, don't deserve to live, and that my heart goes out, too, to these people who get wrongly convicted and stay there for
30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
For decades or whatever.
That's very
Of course,
disturbing.
I go back and I remember our late friend Lewis Kellogg said one time, somebody talking about that, and somebody said, well, what if you find out that they were not guilty of it? And Lewis said, well, it's probably guilty of something.
Oh, Lord.
You know, it's interesting when I was reading all this research, that liberal Mecca, California, is way ahead of everybody else in executions. Way ahead.
Really?
Yeah, and Florida comes in like second, and I think Texas only comes in third, something
Really?
like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Mm-hmm. Even taking into consideration population difference, but, you know, those are all pretty populous states.
If you want to get in on the discussion this morning during any of the topics and tell what you think about a particular issue, 232-1542, 232-1542. I'm only giggling because are we going to get into the gorilla thing next? Because now...
Let's go in. Yeah, we'll take a quick break. Let's come back to the gorilla thing.
Now that I think they're even thinking there could be criminal charges against the mom and some of the people that were there.
So we've moved on from should they have killed the gorilla, and now it's who's to blame.
Right.
We'll get into that next.
The blame game, yeah.
Yeah, coming up on Wingin' It Wednesday.
I mean, even some... It's okay.
So, hey, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I got trigger happy with my mouse. Sorry. I know we always talk about gun rights here, but that was trigger happy. There's no better explanation for it.
No, I was just going to say, you know, even people, they're tweeting death threats to this mother. I mean, the world's gone crazy, you know. Some are saying, oh, let's kill the people because we shouldn't have killed the gorilla.
Yes, and blame the traffic light that let them drive into the zoo.
Yes.
And the construction workers who paved the road into the zoo. Yes.
All right, speaking of traffic.
And the trees in the enclosure.
Bork Road and Dene. That's Bork Road and Dene. We have a traffic crash in that area. Make sure you buckle up. Keep it safe out there this morning. Coming up now on 727. Well, for a minute, it was going to be Bernadette Lee winging it all by herself. Everybody left me.
Hey,
Where'd y'all go?
That's the ultimate winging it situation.
We needed our juice. We needed our coffee this morning.
Whatever you want to call it, Carol. You needed some juice in the morning.
Some jumbo juice.
They staged a walkout.
They
all
were on
right.
strike.
It was not a walkout.
So, is that someone on the phone for us?
Yeah, they want to talk about the gorilla thing.
Okay, let's get it started with our peeps.
Let's get it in with our gorilla stuff, and then
then we'll take your call. So, if I would have known a gorilla would have stopped the transgender bathroom talk on my Facebook feed to stop, I would have asked if the gorilla thing happened sooner.
Oh, Rob.
But we've moved on.
You're in trouble
I'm
now.
just saying, we've now moved on. Have you seen anything about the transgender bathrooms? Answer me that, Carol.
Well,
it's gone.
In the Twitterverse that, it just takes 30 seconds.
Only person that cares anymore is Moon. That's the only one who cares. But, okay, so here's the deal. The Cincinnati gorilla was killed. The question was, should
the boy lived.
The boy lived.
It's like everybody forgets that part.
The 4-year-old boy, and now the blame game has begun, as Carol alluded to. Do we blame the mom? I also want to know, where is the guy who actually shot the gorilla? I mean, is he at a camp in Butte La Rose? Like just trying to stay out of the media circus, or where is he? Warren, let's go ahead and start this one with you, buddy.
I don't know where he is. Why are you asking me?
Did you kill the gorilla, Warren?
No, I did not.
You didn't shoot the sheriff either.
There's a couple things that come to mind. First of all, my real question is how in the world did a 4-year-old child wind up in a gorilla cage when you got barriers out there that are designed to keep not only kids but adults and everybody else out?
Yeah.
That's my first question is, and the second one is, who was responsible for looking after the kid? Was he there with a school group where you had like 2 people looking after 40 kids? Or was he there with his mother and father? Or, or did he sneak in alone? Mm-hmm. And, I don't know. It is it is a tragic deal that the whole thing happened. And I wasn't there. I don't know what the circumstances were. I know that you can look at the video, which I haven't even looked at because I don't want to. But I mean that it's who made the decision to shoot the gorilla rather than tranquilizing him or whatever, or why didn't you just send somebody in there to go in there and negotiate with him, just talk to him and calm him down. And,
what do you want to bring a bunch of bananas? Like, what do you want him to do?
No, like the guys on Running with the Bulls, right? That distract the bull, or in the bullfight, right? The guys who go in, the clowns and all that go and distract the bull.
Well, there's a few politicians I can think of that would have been perfectly good to send in there. But it brings to mind a deal in California back several years ago where a mountain lion attacked a woman and killed her, and she had a couple of kids. And the mountain lion also had a couple of what do they call them, cubs, kits or whatever. And so they had 2 funds made up to raise money. One was for the mother who was killed, and the other one was for the mountain lion's cubs. And the woman's fund, I think, got about $3,000-4,000 in it. The mountain lions had something like about $500,000 raised within 24 hours or whatever. And we're in this country to where that the certain people think that every animal has way more rights than anybody else, and they should be protected first and foremost and whatever. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's a sign of the times, and it's a horrifying deal, especially when it's a zoo and the way they're set up, and for people to enjoy looking at animals and being around them and all of that. But still, it comes back down to what I would like to see. How in the world did it happen?
Yeah, Carol.
Exactly. What led up to this? Who was in charge of that child? Was there distraction? You talk about, it's very easy to get distracted. You had that, I think the woman had 5 children. I don't know if she had them all with her at the same time. Nobody knows really the total facts in the case. That's going to come out. And of course, the lawyers we have always with us, and they're going to, they're going to sue. There's plenty of liability to go around. I mean, I feel sorry for the zoo because they've never had, one time previously they did have a polar bear exhibit with the door open and the polar bears got out, but I don't know what happened to them, but nothing happened. So
they weren't shot.
They weren't shot.
And they had a Coke, and they went back in.
And they sang, I like to teach the world. So that was the only incident that had no negative, and so the zoo has a stellar record. And I was watching Jack Hanna last night, and he said, look, we try to set these things up so that they're realistic but very safe. And he said, this has never happened before. And the kid, apparently, by all reports, kept saying, I want to get in the water with the gorilla. I want to get in, somebody should have paid attention to that. When a kid that age says they want to do something, they pretty much figure out a way to do it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, what was the mom distracted?
If she has that many
was
kids,
she doing
Her,
selfies?
sure. Yeah,
was she doing selfies?
Right?
Was she texting? Who was watching the kid? I think there's no good outcome to this, and there's plenty of blame to go around. So stop it with the lawsuits. Let's just get to the bottom of it. Make the zoos safer if we need to. And when you go in a dangerous, I don't care what you say. We try. And here's the other thing: the child has probably been going to Disney movies all his life. So he thinks all those little animals are his friend, and they're happy, and they're going to play patty cake with him. Mm-hmm. We anthropomorphize. There's a word for you. We make all those animals seem human to these kids, and they believe it. The kids do. So, there's so much going on here, culturally and legally, and I just hate to see the lawyers get involved and start suing everybody. Everybody's suing everybody. And you don't get to the facts of it and a way to make it not happen again.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our phones, 232-1542, 232-1542, if you want to join the conversation. Good morning. You're on Acadiana's Morning News.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. And I couldn't agree with Carol much more, and Warren. Very good points. There was a gorilla incident some years ago where another kid fell into the enclosure. But that particular gorilla was protecting that kid. But who to say that gorilla that was shot was going to protect that kid? So it's his own domain, and you would threaten on his private domain, and he's territorial. The mother was going to the zoo. She should have bear in mind, I got to hold this kid's hand. I'm his protector, and the bottom line that she's at fault as well as the zookeeper. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, those were good comments, and you know that I do remember that case where it was a baby that dropped in, and it was a female gorilla. Hate to bring gender into this, but it was a female gorilla.
Oh God!
Females are nurturers, and the males are kind of aggressive. So. You know.
All right, let's take another call. 232.
That ought to ignite some.
1542. Good morning. You're on Acadiana's Morning News.
How you doing? Number one, she ought to be charged with negligent reckless endangerment of a minor, and as a result, the death of an endangered species.
Okay. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Okay. Let's take Warren. Hold yourself back 1 second. Let's take one more call.
All right.
KPEL, you're on with Wingin' It Wednesday.
Okay. I saw a report the other day on the gorilla that they chose to shoot the gorilla because if they would have used a tranquilizer gun, you know, the gorilla could have figured out that, you know, something was happening and it might have turned aggressive. And I think that's why they said they just went ahead and shot him. But, I mean, the mother has to be held accountable. You know, the gorilla is a wild animal, you know. I mean, it's, you know, the gorilla can't, you know, sit there and say, oh, wait, you know, somebody come get the kid, but something happens.
Doesn't exactly work that way. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That caller, interestingly enough, from Asbury Park, New Jersey. But anyway.
Well, and as you saw the video, I mean, the gorilla was dragging that kid around. His head was
and that was the thing.
Bumping on the thing.
When the first thing came out, of course, the easy story is he was protecting the kid. And then the woman who was videoing it from the other side said, hold up, I have the whole thing. And he kind of drags him through the water. It's not like he was really trying to hurt him. I really think he probably thought he was a toy. Yeah. Whatever.
If the Katie Couric editors had gotten their hands on it, you would have seen only the part where he's playing with the kid right there and not dragging him around, bumping his head.
All right, Warren, wrap this one up for us.
You know, that people do irrational things in these kind of deals. I remember one time when they had the rhino that got shot over here at the Cincinnati Zoo. But this is a true story. Back when I was in college on rodeo team at the University of Tennessee Martin.
You were on the rodeo team?
I was a captain.
Warren, why did you wait until this point to tell us this?
How could you never tell us you were the rodeo captain?
I was the captain of the first rodeo team to go to the college national finals east of the Mississippi River. But anyway,
we are not worthy.
What was your event? What were your events?
I was a bull rider, wannabe.
Oh my God!
Now, does that explain it? Bull rider, bull talker, bull rider, bull talker.
This is honest to God a true story. We went to Oklahoma and bought some bulls, and from Jim's shoulders, we get back. We had this one old crossbred Brahma bull, and he fought that trailer all the way from Henrietta, Oklahoma to Martin, Tennessee.
Wait, crossbred? He was transgender?
As soon as we let him out, he jumped over a fence and took off.
Right.
So the time we got two horses saddled to go out and catch him, by then he had already made his way pretty close to onto the college campus.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
So here comes a campus cop up there, and he sees this old bull trotting down the side of the road. So what does the cop do? He gets behind him, turns his blue light on and his siren on.
Because that's smart.
I guess he thought that the bull would just pull over and wait for him to give him a ticket and tell him where to go. And he basically chased that bull onto the college campus.
Yeah.
It was the day they were having honors ceremony, which I'm telling you, which is the reason I wasn't in that crowd.
Right, okay.
I was on the horse chasing the bull.
Right.
Anyway, the bull gets up there. The honors ceremony was outdoors, and the bull goes up there, and if he'd have turned right, he would have been right in the middle of that crowd, sitting in chairs.
Right.
But the bull turned left.
He didn't want to sit in the chairs.
He didn't. But I'm saying, you know, that and everybody said, you know, how stupid can you get to get behind an animal like that and turn a siren on and chase him right towards where you don't want him to go. You know, and I think that those things happen anytime you get these situations like that where you're dealing with animals that are quote, out of control, and that.
Yeah, because who knows anything about a silverback gorilla other than the people that work at the zoo and what you learn when you go there, really.
Another great one about the rodeo is that when they would bring the animals in for the college rodeo, it's indoor arena and all now. A lot of people would come up there and watch them unload them and all that. You know, you got 40 of these big old bulls running in there. Mm-hmm. So there was the chief of police was up there helping out, and so he jumps over into the pen,
right,
into the arena, and one of the bulls come by there, and he waved him off to go the other way. Well, they kind of like to play with people,
right?
And when he did, the bull turned and nailed him.
Did he gore him?
Well, he didn't gore him, but I mean, he knocked him on the ground and rooted him around with his nose, and he's rolling around with his
bum over tea kettle.
Yeah, with his blackjack and his gun flopping and all that. And everybody in the crowd was hollering, "Show him your badge! Show him your badge!"
And the zoo director, I mean, you could tell he was agonizing when he did that press conference. He said, if we had shot a tranquilizer dart, not to mention the fact that it would have taken too long, but it could have enraged him while he's holding the child, which could have provoked him even more.
Right.
All right, let's take one more call to wrap up this segment. Good morning. You're on Wingin' It Wednesday.
Hey, yeah. Well, I'm not happy that the gorilla died, but, there is a group of people in society today that are more upset over the gorilla dying than the 4-year-old being hurt. Mm-hmm. When the same group of people, if the 4-year-old would have been a lot younger, would have been perfectly fine with the mother killing it.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah, Okay. All right, wow.
Gosh, someone always comes up at the end to...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you got the smartest listeners, I mean, they make you think. They make you think.
All right, we're going to move on with Wingin' It Wednesday after this.
Can I just ask one more question before you press any buttons?
I won't touch any. Hands off.
Did you won awards for bull riding, is what you're saying?
Somewhat, yes.
Somewhat? That sounds like a politician.
Oh, yeah, totally. Did you only do bull riding?
No, actually, I did all of it at one time or another.
Pig wrestling?
Not pig wrestling.
Team roping?
No. Team roping?
Oh, that's an old man sport. Yeah, I did get into that toward the end. When I got too old to ride bulls, as this one guy said one time, if I'd been worth a hoot, I'd still be doing it. But
I can't believe this man rode bulls.
He's kept it for us from a long time. What else is there to learn about Warren Cottle? Wow.
Dude, this is like a character for a comic book. Somebody got to work on that, bro.
All right.
It's amazing.
Bernie, you grab the mouse.
I'm stunned.
Hands up, don't shoot over here. We're back with Wingin' It Wednesday after this.
There's a whole album.
13 photos of Warren Cottle on a bull.
Well, and then there's somewhere he's not on the bull.
yeah.
For a minute, I thought he was just pulling our leg, but there's proof. It's really him.
There's photographic proof. All right. I will just mention this. I'm working on the story we talked about a little bit earlier as part of Moron University.
Yes.
A TV viewer. Were y'all listening at this point yet?
Okay,
y'all the one about confused. Clinton. The one about Clinton.
Clinton, Louisiana, being taken, wanting them to take it off the map.
Telling the TV station, take it off the map
for the weather maps.
Political. Hello. Here's your sign.
Let me tell you this.
Sign, baby.
There's a. I have worked in elections. Well, I was working here when President Obama was elected. When it was, when the election was happening, and when I tell you the calls that would happen, at the time it was Hoyt and Marcel were my anchors. If they wore red or blue on a debate night,
it was a political statement.
It was a statement.
Oh, that's
hysterical. Every time, and Marcel's a good friend. Anytime something political is happening, whether it was a special or whatever, she would wear black on TV. She'd wear black.
She'd be not committed.
Finished. Anyway, working on the story about Clinton, Louisiana, right now. All right, so Donald Trump yesterday. Remember several months ago, back in January, when he refused to take part in a Fox News debate and instead had an event across town for veterans. Now, ever since then, we never heard anything about what came of that. How much was raised? Where was it distributed? Who was it distributed to? So yesterday, the Trump Dog and Pony Show happens, and he chastises the media for not publicizing that the money was distributed. But I'm sitting here as someone who gets press releases from his campaign all the time. KPEL is on all those distribution lists, so we see what's going on. I never the event happened and we never heard anything about it since.
No, I take it from a different direction.
Okay.
These media people started digging into the event saying he didn't donate that money to charity. And he lied about what he donated. That's how I saw the story get started.
And then he came out to say, yes, I did?
Yes.
To set them straight?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway,
and
so here's where we are. He says he donated the money, several different groups on it, really good veterans groups, and now he's trying to clear it up. What do you guys think of it? Warren, let's go ahead and start with you.
As he's giggling.
Media people. You know, the problem is media people don't want to report the story. About 90% of the times they want to make the story. And then about 90% of the times that they want to be part of the story.
I will agree with you. Maybe not your percentage, but I agree that's a problem.
And that, and also, and I'm sure Carol's going to get deeply into this, is that it's part of Trump's strategy that he always does, is that stuff gets out there, he does what he does, and then he comes out there and tells his side of it that says, nope, this is the really part about it, and this is why you guys are so wrong, and this is why you guys are so bad. And you know what? Most of the people take a look at it and say, by George, I believe I agree with him more than I do old Dad Walter Cronkite in that bunch. And, it's just another thing about the two sides, the I got yous and I support you, and that I know that there's some of the radio personalities and whatever, they criticize Fox for being so in the tank for Trump. It's like they're part of his campaign and blah, 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 Well, get over it. It's kind of like I saw a bumper sticker one time that said something about the Supreme Court elected George W. Bush, not the people. And somebody else says,
what?
But it's irrelevant now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the truth. Wow.
And that I just think that the more that the media tries to bash Donald J. Trump, the better
plays
off
right
he
into his
is,
hands.
because I think that anybody out there has got more positive standings with general American people than does the media and all that group of political hacks and consultants going around.
Present company excluded, of course, Warren. We're talking about the national mainstream drive-by media that Rush is always talking about. You're sitting in a room here with media people who are giving you a lot of free time. I would make that distinction.
Well, I get paid well for this time. Go ahead.
And I've not had a cigarette in about 14 hours, Warren. You might be the first one.
I will say this.
He
did mention yesterday, or someone alluded to, I don't know if it was in commentary or something, about all the 27-year-olds who are covering the White House and who are on the trail of the campaign. Look, let me tell you, from having been on the other side of it, they're the only ones who will agree to do it. Your high-standing journalists, they want to be in their office. They want to be in a comfortable studio. That's why you see a lot of these young reporters out on the trail. It's grueling. I mean, you're gone for months at a time. It's nonsense. But I do think that they could do a better job of asking harder questions. The unfortunate part is when you travel with them.
They don't know to ask harder questions.
I worked at a particular outfit where they never let someone go for the whole campaign. Because what happens is you start to get to know everyone. You get to know the press secretary.
You become part of the campaign.
You did become part of it. And so it was like a 2-week rotation thing. You were in and out. You'd have to go cover one or the other and switch around, which I always thought made so much sense. The same with wartime correspondents. Used to have people who'd go spend 20 years, but that has sort of changed where you got to rotate in. You have to, and people also have to rotate out to it. So anyway, Carol, your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that this fits the pattern. Bernie and I have talked about this on several occasions. Trump, he will give out half of the information or very little of the information. He'll let the media get into a froth about all this stuff, and then he'll tell them you're fired because you screwed up here. I have all the information. We did all this. We raised this money. They're trying to say, well, of course, the New York Times, came out and started pushing this meme, this whole theory that, they really didn't raise the money. They're keeping the money. What does he need with the money? He has people who probably are managing this. You know how long it took the Clinton Foundation on that Haiti thing? Well, they still haven't had a full accounting of the money that was donated to Haiti. And every once in a while, that little scandal surfaces and is quickly slapped down. However, in this case, this is a very recent event. And so it's the typical Trump modus operandi. And then the brilliant timing in many, many cases with him. I know people think he's a buffoon and all that, but he didn't get where he is by being a buffoon and by being stupid. And above all, he understands the media. He understands the media. He understands the art of the deal, how to negotiate and all this sort of stuff. So he waits to have his press conference 2 days after the full impact of the Katie Couric editing thing. And don't think that didn't have an impact on it, because everybody looked at that and said, you see how dishonest the media is? They edit in 8 or 9 seconds of dead air to make these gun supporters look like total idiots. And the story comes out. And his timing, impeccable. Nobody trusts the media. And every day we're reminded of the things that they do in order to support their already established theory and facts. I mean, I got a list of who they donated to. It's up to $5.6 million. It's probably going to go a lot higher after this. And that may be also a little strategy of his, to call more attention to it and get more donations. And I'll tell you, by the time it's all over, he may be able to say, see, media, we got $10 million, and this is who we're giving it to. He did give out a whole list. I've got it right here. I downloaded it from the Internet. $5.6 million so far and counting.
Wow.
So, media, get smart. You haven't figured him out yet, and you never will.
All right. Well, that was Wingin' It Wednesday, brought to you by our friends Service Chevrolet Cadillac over on Ambassador, going towards the interstate. Warren, was that a stretch, or were you raising your hand?
No, he wanted to tell everybody he's a bull rider.
Go, Cajuns.
Yeah, yes. Go Cajuns.
Oh, man, that is so exciting.
We're hosting this regional. You'll be able to hear all the games right here on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. 7:55 now.
Bye, guys.
We're back after this.
Right now, we have no traffic crashes, no breakdowns to worry about right now, so make sure that you buckle up and that